Anish, we have heard about Indian IT and Indian pharma so much all across the world. We know the capabilities and competencies in Indian pharma and Indian IT. When it will be the time that we will see Indian Medtech in the same breath? If you could tell us where Indian Medtech is currently and how you see it evolving in the coming future.
I'll have to give a long-winded answer, and I want to keep you on time. So let me just sort of dwell upon where India is currently from a healthcare perspective. The nation has a vision of becoming a developed country by 2047, and that clearly means that we have to provide healthcare for all. We've made a lot of strides on the pharmaceutical front, but when it comes to medtech, we have a very long journey to cover. And the growth of Indian medtech will be hinging on a couple of things. One is cutting edge technology. The other is practical strategies. Because ultimately, what are we solving for? One is new challenges that will come up in the field of healthcare, and the other issue is around making sure that healthcare disparities are managed well. In that context, I think India has a long journey to go. But if you look at health tech overall, there are essentially three pillars of supply for the globe. Europe, there is US, and there is China. Unlike a lot of other industries, you really don't have a very well developed ecosystem, because for us, manufacturing a health tech or a med tech product is not that simple. You need multiple skills, you need multiple manufacturing facilities, you need multiple components, and then you have to go through an entire rigmarole of regulatory approvals. So it's not as simple as pharma, and which is why the world will have to have a few more centers of supply, or we will have similar issues that we had in the year 2020. And that is where India is now trying to leapfrog itself. Our overall medtech industry is very small. We are just about $12 billion. If you look at pharma, 40% of the world generics is supplied for by India. 25% of the supplies to the US of formulations is supplied for by India. But in the medtech, we are actually an import-dependent country. 80% of what we use is imported. And hence, the government is taking the necessary strides at this point in time to take care of, or to build an ecosystem that helps the growth of health tech. And because of the sheer size of the country, the sheer size of the patient base that we have the ability to create products that cater to a very wide range of diseases or healthcare issues. We have the necessary skills, which is essentially in our case engineering, software, hardware, pharmaceutical and regulatory. We have the manufacturing ecosystem which is getting developed in the country. So, the way I look at the vision for the Indian medtech is that currently in a $542 billion global market, we are just a $12 billion industry. We have 2.2% of the global share. Now, our vision is that, in the next 22 years, we should get to a 10% share of what is going to be a 1.5 trillion market at that point in time, if you take a 4 to 5% normalized growth. Which means that this industry from 12 billion has the ability to grow to about 140 to 150 billion. And the way I articulate it is, 10x in 20Y should be the goal for the Indian medtech industry. A lot is happening. There is government support in terms of localized schemes, incentives for manufacturing. There's a lot that is happening in terms of overhauling the regulatory landscape of India. India is working hard to open international markets for us. And recently we became a member of IMDRP, which also means that we are harmonizing our regulatory norms with the rest of the globe. So I think this is just the beginning for us as an industry. But if I were to crystal gaze at 20 years into the future, I see no reason why we should not be able to do what pharma did in the last 40 years.
Great.
Cadaveric work that allows you to test your products and ensure that they're ready for the final patient. And that is where these institutions really can collaborate very well with us. But the way I look at it is, how do we marry the precision of Switzerland with the value consciousness that the Indian market allows us. The very large playing field we have because of the large cohort in India and create products for the future. And one is metals, but there's so much that is happening now to look at healthcare from being a reactive modality to a proactive modality. So diagnostics, AI, IoT, usage of nanotechnology, robotics, that's all getting fostered in our ecosystem. A lot of it is experimental at this point in time because we really do not know how it will pan out in the future. And that is where these institutions are great, because we need to fail fast, learn our lessons, and then keep on innovating. And we don't really have these kind of ecosystems where we can continuously keep on validating whatever we are doing and building on new products. I think the other area that we, at least as a company, are looking at as we are developing a brand new implant is, can we develop the entire implant here and then manufacture it locally, because the precision skills that we will have to import are actually available out here. The other thing is that Switzerland also gives us a great market access platform. When a product that has been approved by the Swiss authorities, that is an EU MDR, and that is made in Switzerland, will definitely get much more traction than most other parts of the world. So those are areas where I think this is just the beginning, but we need to really foster a much more vibrant ecosystem between the two countries and grow it to the advantage of our patients.
I'm trying to understand what has been like the key challenge at the moment for medtech companies out of there. And thinking about it, I was wondering, you mentioned that it's a multi-component space. So talent obviously is an area where the precision part comes here, because the talent is also developed to enforce it. So what's your take on that? Like, what are the key challenges, and is talent a part of it, or is there things?
Yeah, I think for any industry to foster, the captive consumption becomes an important part, especially when it is about scale and trying to build economies of scale, and hence sort of grow from there and then invest into R&D. So that's where India does offer you that scale. That focus towards quality is changing dramatically now. So earlier we had 800 entrepreneurs in this business. Today we have 3,000 who are focusing on medtech. And I think there's a growing realization that the idea is not only to make in India for India, but make in India for the world. Now, not everybody will be able to make the cut, but the government has become increasingly circumspect about giving licenses to products that can hamper the image of the country. Because what happens is that if an Indian company has a problem in a market, it tarnishes the entire name of the country. While a large multinational, it is only their name that's hampered, and that's, I guess, a process of transition and transformation that we are going through. So I think the entire ecosystem is coming into place. There is growing realization by different entrepreneurs who are focused more on the easy way of, creating products that are sort of single line manufactured rather than getting into this multi-line process. So that has started happening. The ecosystem still is small because you really don't have a lot of components that ideally the local environment should give you. And if the captive consumption remains small, then we are really not able to develop local suppliers. So to give you a perspective, in India, large multinationals don't have manufacturing of medtech. There's only one manufacturing plant amongst all these large companies. And hence, the supplier ecosystem hasn't developed. So it's a work in progress at this point in time, and over a period of time it will get fostered. What we really need is great manufacturing skills, engineering, polymer, plastics, chemicals. The pharmaceutical and regulatory part is available. On the engineering side, we really need to invest a lot more in terms of developing capabilities and skills to help us, get the talent base that is required. We will continuously keep on also importing talent, because at R&D, at a lot of sort of thinking areas, the lack of exposure is missing, right? So you're really not able to harness the local talent in everything. So a lot of our R&D folks are, returning Indians from the US, or we collaborate very strongly with innovation hubs, either in Switzerland or some other places, where we harness their sort of ecosystem to develop these products for us.
So it's a work in progress, but I think in the next 10 years, the talent base will get built the way it happened in the tech field also 40, 50 years back.